Hello there, Stanley Carr here. I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. She is a rising star in the independent wrestling circuit, worked for numerous companies across the country. I'm pleased to welcome Emily Locke. Welcome,
Hi.
Emily, to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for this.
It's my pleasure. So, where are you from, Emily?
Well, so originally, I was born in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Ohio, and now I live in Tampa, Florida. So I've been all over, I guess.
Yes, just cross country, all over the place.
Yeah, I guess so.
Were you always a big wrestling fan?
No, I was not. So it's funny. I always talk to people like fans and like all of my like wrestling friends about how I don't have the typical wrestling upbringing. I had exposure to professional wrestling when I was a kid. My uncle would watch it and he enjoyed it. But I never like was really into it until I got into college and I met a group of friends in college and they kind of like introduced me to it, and then that's when my life kind of engulfed in wrestling was when I was in college. And then I moved to Florida and I found Jay Lethal School and I said, I'm doing it. So, yeah, that's my upbringing. So, I mean, I was exposed to it, but I never grew up watching it, to be honest with you.
Now, growing up, were you always into sports? Did you play a lot of sports growing up?
No, I was a high school cheerleader with no like, and I'm talking like sideline cheerleading. We didn't have to do any of the flips or anything, but so I did cheerleading from when I was in, I think it was seventh grade all the way up until I graduated high school. So I did like football and basketball, high school cheerleading, but nothing too crazy. So this is crazy. Like the fact that I'm wrestling right now and doing all this stuff is kind of crazy to me.
What would you say were your interests growing up, like hobbies?
I was a simple girl. I loved the cheerleading aspect. I was a very girly girl. So my mom always played soccer. And she was like, "You're gonna be a soccer player." And I said, "No, I'm gonna get dirty. I'm not doing that." So my mom tried to get me into that kind of stuff, but I was always into like the makeup and like I collected Bratz dolls when I was a little kid. And I've always been like I love animals, and I love like art stuff. So like one of my current things I love to do is diamond painting. So I had like I would never expect that now when I'm 28 years old, I'm a professional wrestler.
Yeah, so you just had a wide variety of different
Yeah.
things that you were into. And so growing up, doing cheerleading and going to college and eventually falling into the industry, talk to me about the first, I guess, match or two that you remember watching.
I couldn't tell you the exact match I remember watching, but I do remember the moment I like fell in love with wrestling, and that was my first show that I ever went to. And I've talked about this before, where I went to a Ring of Honor show. I want to say it was in Michigan. It was either in somewhere in Ohio or in Michigan. And the main event was Jay Lethal, which again I was trained by Jay Lethal, so it was like such a full circle moment when I went and trained with Jay Lethal. But I remember just watching the main event. I'm pretty sure he was wrestling like Dalton Castle. I can't remember exactly, but I just remember it was Jay. And I was just watching this match with all my friends and they could see me. They're like, "Oh, she's loving it. She's loving it. She's loving it." And that was like the moment where I'm like, "Wow, this is something special." Cuz I never really knew the extent and the storyline and everything that goes into professional wrestling until I went to my first show in person. And I'm like, this is bigger than anything I could ever imagine. And that was the moment and then I went and trained with Jay, which was amazing too. So
Yeah, you caught the bug. Anytime I feel
Yes.
like when I've talked to people about when they first attended a wrestling event, it's like, I want to do this. I
Mhm.
want to keep going back and really like checking this out because
Mhm.
I had so much fun. Now I'm here, and some of the people that go to these shows, they want to be in the business themselves. And so, how did you and Jay get connected?
Well, so I moved to Florida in June of 2019, and I was still, like, on the verge of, like, do I want to like, train, do I not? And then I started looking into wrestling schools, and I was looking and looking and looking, and I found Jay's school. Now, this was in March of 2020. So, I found Jay's wrestling school in March of 2020, and I messaged them, and I was like, "Hey, I'd love to do this," and they're like, "Cool, we have one more spot. Come out, do the whole thing." So I did, like, they came and they did what is that called? Well, like, I went and, like, asked questions and all the things,
You inquired.
and yeah, yeah, and so, then, I got the wrestling shoes, I got the knee pads, and I show up to class. 2 weeks later, the world shut down for COVID. So my wrestling training experience was a little bit different than most people's, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because the reason why I'm in, like, the group that I'm in and I know all the people that I know is because of my training class. And being able to be trained by Jay and the other coaches that I was trained by, it was amazing. But yeah, I had a very unconventional training experience because the world shut down 2 weeks after. Like, I had two classes. I had my first class and we just kind of learned like the ropes, and then then we did basic stuff, and then the world shut down, and then we had to kind of figure out how to do it. So, but it was great. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's crazy
Yeah.
because you're just so used to like being able to go to classes and do the things that you would normally
Hmm.
do, and then bam, you have to rearrange
Hmm.
a lot of different things. And so COVID happens,
Hmm.
but eventually things pick up. You
Hmm.
start going back, you start learning from Jay. What are some things that he's telling you, teaching you that you're starting to pick up, applying to even today?
So the biggest thing that Jay was very big on and was psychology. Psychology is such a big thing in professional wrestling. You have everything that you do has to make sense. And he is the most patient coach I could ever have asked for. I vividly remember we were learning one thing, and one specific thing, and it's such a basic thing, and I remember I could not get it down for some reason. I like, because and that's what he even said to me. He's like, "You get the hardest things that we learn down." And then you can't get this one simple thing that you're probably gonna do in almost every match. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. But he was so patient with me. But like psychology was a big thing. And a lot of the times, like, he wouldn't teach you something um unless you perfected things that you like would build onto it. For example, I my first time I ever did a sunset flip, um there was a situation where I fell and I hurt my neck. Um and so it was the very first time I ever did a sunset flip. There was something that I wanted to learn how to do a sliced bread. And he was like, "I love that for you, but you never perfected the sunset flip, so I'm not going to teach you how to do that because you need to learn that before you can get to like the higher things." And that was something that I was like, "Wow, like he's not just going to teach me something because I want to. He's going to make sure that I can do it correctly because, he doesn't want me to get hurt. He doesn't want my opponents to get hurt." So he was very strategic with the order he taught everything in. Because you hear a lot of times you go to wrestling school and the first thing they want you to do is hit the ropes because that hurts really bad. That's not one of the first things we ever learned. Because he was like, we need to gradually get there. I'm not trying to kick you out of the wrestling. I want you to be happy with it. And I want you to continue to do this. So that was the biggest thing that with Jay was he was very patient and a very kind man.
Have you heard him do his Ric Flair impression?
He won't do it. He only did it for one class. Never, but like the class that he did it for, they're like, "Haha, we got to have his Ric Flair impression." So he would never do it. He's like, "Nope, not gonna." So no, I watched it, of course, but no, I never got to hear it in person.
If you go online and just punch in Ric Flair, Jay Lethal woo
Mhm.
off, or Ric Flair, Jay Lethal promo, it is hysterical.
Oh, I know. I saw it on. I've seen the video, but he's
Mhm.
never done it in person. I was like, We were all like, come on. We were like, maybe that's the one thing we could get from like our graduation. No.
One day.
What? Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Well, as you're learning, as you're going through your time with Jay and with the other trainers, it is intense. It's hard, and you really have to pace yourself. As we're talking about here, you got to trust your opponent. The
Mm-hmm.
opponents have to trust you. Working with them, it's like a dance,
Mm-hmm.
leading and following. So over time, as you're starting to get in more of a rhythm, you're watching different matches, different performers. Who would you say are people that you kind of idolize and look up to as far as your in-ring work is concerned?
So my in-ring work is a little bit different than a lot. I would say that I do similar like move set as someone like Samoa Joe. I'm not gonna say I'm like Samoa Joe. Like that's not like what I'm gonna say at all. But like my move set tends to be I'm throwing myself at you. So I do a cannonball, I do a hip attack, I do cross bodies. So I kind of use that because I don't want to commit to like picking somebody up and then like not being able to do so. Like I probably can at the beginning of the match, but like who knows, we're 10 minutes into the match and I'm like, oh. So I would say like I have a similar set to someone like Samoa Joe, like Tony Storm. Like those are like people my moveset is very similar to, but I also kind of try my best to make things unique because everything's been done. And I feel like a lot of times when you go and you wrestle somebody, it's a lot of the same things. And obviously everybody wants to stand out. So I'm trying my best to find a move set that's okay, like for other women, but it's also unique and it makes me stand out. So that's kind of the way I try to like make my move set and the way I wrestle. So,
Yeah, find what's special to you. Pick a
mhm,
few influences that you have and combine them and fuse them into one.
right.
And I think
Hmm.
that's what tends to work for a lot of different people.
Hmm.
So you get in the ring, you have your first match, nervous, scared, afraid. Talk to me.
Oh gosh. The only thing I can say is I know I blacked out. Like I don't remember a thing about my first match except for she did a pump kick and she chopped me while I was like on the ropes and it made my chest bleed because the day before I went to the beach and I got sunburnt like an idiot. But my mom, so I'm originally from Ohio. My mom flew from Ohio to come watch my first match. And it was in June and it was like around it was like a Father's Day type thing and it was in a parking lot. So in Florida. So it was hot as anything and I just and it was it was a good match. Like I know for a fact it was a good match, but I don't remember a thing except for the pump kick and the chop. That's it. Like so like I was so nervous, but I was so excited and I was grateful for my opponent because she was somebody who I trained with and I trusted and she was very good to me. She was okay with like how nervous I was and everything and she was there for me and it was great. I just was so nervous and I know I don't remember a thing from that match.
But your confidence grew.
100%. 100%. Yes.
Well, since you've been in the ring, you've had a few years under your belt experience. Who have been some people that you've enjoyed stepping in the ring with over the last few years?
So I've wrestled some of like some great opponents. I got to wrestle Steph Delander, which was amazing. I've wrestled Myla Grace, which was awesome as well. I wrestled over in the UK and I got to wrestle Maddie Morgan and Melissa Fierce. Those were two amazing opponents. I love wrestling Kelsey Reagan. She's one of my favorites to wrestle. I had a big thing going with the professional wrestler T Gaines. She's one of my favorites to wrestle. And then I have to give a shout out to Catalina Perez because she was the first person that I did ever wrestle. And she was unfortunately injured and she's coming back. She's come back and now we've been able to step in the ring again because it was definitely a first full circle moment when I saw I was gonna wrestle her again for the first time since my first match because I only wrestled her in my first match and then she got injured and everything and she came back and within the last year I was able to wrestle her. So I was like, this is amazing. So those are the ones off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more. So if I didn't mention you when you're watching, I love you.
Well, you definitely see a difference between your first match and then
Mhm.
your latest one, right? So the the second time you wrestled your first opponent, I'm sure you noticed a progression.
Yeah, it was definitely, I was like, oh, but she had just come back from injury, but I was like, I'm not the same girl anymore. And because in my first match, I was happy to be here, ready to go, so happy. But my character has progressed and changed and everything, and I'm not so nice anymore. And so, I made sure to like talk about that and the hyping up of the match. Like, I'm not the same girl you used to know, so be ready for me. And but I was excited because I'm like, now she can see what I'm able to do. And I was really excited for that match, and we still got to keep going.
Do you prefer being a heel over a baby face?
Okay, so that's a funny question because at the beginning of my career, I started as super happy to be here, babyface. That was literally what I would come out. She's happy to be here, and then I found who like I started to get booked more as a heel, and so I had to kind of fall into my heel character, which is your boyfriend's favorite wrestler. And I love the character. I love who Emily is. But lately, I have been being a baby face, and there's part of me who's like, "Ooh, I love the feeling of the fans being on your side." And it's like the moment like your music hits, once you're at a place that knows you very, very well, your music hits before you even hit the curtain, and the fans are screaming for you. And I'm like, "Oh, that's such a good feeling." So it's like I like to be able to be bratty and mean sometimes because naturally I'm at like I try to be a nicer person. So then like I like to kind of like channel that myself over there, but then like hearing like the reaction of the fans and when like you get the big pop when you go over, like when you win, and it's like just such a great feeling. So I like both, and I feel like in different situations, like different places. Like I feel like at a new place, it's so much easier to get somebody to be like, boo, you suck. But when you're at a place for longer, people tend to start to know you, and then they start to love you, and then and then they start cheering your name, and you're like, it's not a good feeling. So I like both, and I can do both, and I'll happily do whatever. But it's definitely, I'm torn between the two.
Well, there seems to be more of an adrenaline rush when you're playing
Mhm.
a good guy because the music hits, you come out, you get reactions, and your energy, and there's like an energy level that like it motivates you.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's such a good feeling. Like the beginning of your match, you're hearing Emily, and you're just like, I didn't even do anything yet, and you just love me, and it's like, oh, that's why that's why I do it, because those fans are out there, and they knew me right away, and they were excited to see me. So,
It sets the tone for the evening.
mhm. Right, absolutely.
Future goals. What do you hope to accomplish in the next few years in the wrestling business? Any future dream opponents that you'd like to be in the ring with?
So of course, like most people on the independent scene, the goal is to be signed. Do I have like a preference of where? No, I would just like to. My goal is to make wrestling full time. And I also want to continue to travel because last year I did wrestle in the UK, and it was one of the it's probably the highlight of my career so far. It was absolutely amazing. And so my goal is to also travel to more places. Would I go back to the UK in a heartbeat? Like absolutely. But I want to go to more places. Maybe Germany, France, I'd obviously Japan. That's where we all want to go. So like short-term goals, continuing the traveling, getting all over the place because there's and then get to the point where wrestling's full time for me. And of course I would love to get signed by any of the big promotions. But hopefully with my boys by my side too, we'd love to be all together. But yeah, I just want wrestling to be my full-time job. So
Yeah, and I think that there's so many different places to work now, and I think
mhm.
there's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan because you've got WWE, you've got AEW, you've got TNA, you've got NWA, you've got all these places at your fingertips now, and with the advent of the internet and social media, especially,
Mhm.
you can go online and watch thousands of different promotions.
Oh yeah, it's right at your fingertips. Like obviously because I'm a wrestler, but it's just it's constant. Like this is like the best time to be a fan and a wrestler because wrestling is so big right now. And I just hope myself and like everybody around me can capitalize off of it and do what we love to do.
Who would you say is somebody that you want to face in the future?
Well, so I'd say like big. I love to wrestle Rhea, of course. Who wouldn't want to wrestle Rhea Ripley? I'd love to wrestle Liv Morgan. I feel like she's a great opponent. Those are the top. Definitely, of course, Charlotte. I feel like just like the main top women. I'd love to wrestle Tony Storm. I think so. I love Tony. I love her wrestling style, but I also love her character work. So, and character work's such a big thing to me. Because you can be great in the ring, but like your presence is also very important in the ring too. So those are probably my top three that I would love to wrestle. But I would literally love to step in the ring with any of the women on the roster.
Yes, and I could definitely see that in the future. So
So.
now I want to switch gears
Mhm.
and talk about some of the stuff you've been able to do outside of wrestling. I know you've been very involved with your community, giving back. What are some things that you've been able to help out with over the last few years?
So I've done some like charity wrestling shows. Like I've done in Panama City. I did a show for it's called Wrestling Against Cancer. This guy, he runs it once a year in Panama City, and he finds one person who needs help and will do a fundraiser wrestling show. So that was amazing to be a part of. I've been a part of a suicide awareness show before. And then if there's any way like to give back, I find it important to help children. I have a passion for helping children and of course animals. I'm a big animal lover. So anytime there's an opportunity to go out of my way to like help anybody, I would love to help anybody. But those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head that I've been able to be a part of, and I find it important to be a part of these because wrestling is amazing, but being able to do it for a better cause makes it even better.
Exactly. What are some examples of like foundations or companies, nonprofits that you've been able to work with and events that you've been able to help out with that have been really near and dear to your heart?
So one that I can think of off the top of my head right now, and this is like a local one back from like my hometown. So I'm sorry that like this is like, but like when you said that, the main like the biggest one that I absolutely love doing, we did it in my hometown. It was called Shop with the Sheriff, and it was to be able to help kids who needed Christmas. And so you would go out and you would shop with a person and you would shop with a sheriff, and the child would go and you would shop for Christmas gifts. And then I guess once I started talking about that one, I also started thinking about this promotion right here, the Guardians Legacy right here. They are run by a wonderful couple, Skip and Leslie. And they do so much for their community in Panama City. Skip, the owner for Guardians Legacy, he goes on a bus on the top of a bus for 12 days, I think, and lives on the bus for a toy drive. And so I've been able to go to Panama City and I did a gingerbread like building contest, house building contest with another wrestler to promote coming out and stuff the bus. He calls it stuff the bus. And it is amazing. The toy drive around Christmas time is amazing for when they are in Panama City. And one thing that we did with me and T Gaines, we had a competition. I think it wasn't this past year, it was the year before, where we had giant little like cups, right? And it was for a coin drive, and whoever had the most in their little cup won, and they got to pie the other one in the face. So she won because I was bad guy, but it was okay because we ended up pieing each other in the face, and we pied Skip in the face, so everybody got pied. But it was amazing time because we were able to give back to the community on top of being able to have a good time and make the fans excited. Who's winning, Emily T Gaines, and it was the whole month of, I want to say whole month of November, because the show was in December. And it was amazing, and I would do that over and over and over again. But Guardians Legacy does a lot for their community in Panama City. They feed people for Thanksgiving. And so just being a part of that promotion in and of itself is just awesome and a great way to give back, especially in Panama City.
And it seems like the fans had a good time as well.
Yes, the fans there have so much fun, and they were able to help the community, but also get something out of it and watch us get pied in the face.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
Knowing that I'm helping people that are in need, because I work with a lot of people who need and are in need, and being able to see the joy on people's face, like when they see that they're having a need met or having something that is bigger than, because for us, for somebody like, I'm trying to explain this in a good way. I'm sorry. It's just knowing that somebody has a need met that they didn't have met before. You know what I'm saying? Like they I'm trying to like word this better. I'm sorry. Um like when there's like a food drive or something like that, they are going without at that point, but they can get what they need. I'm trying to word this in the best way. Just the feeling that I know that somebody is not going without anymore. Because I know a lot of people who have been without, some people in my family, and it's hard to see people struggle. And if there's any way that I can help and the wrestling community can help, that's all that matters. And I will do anything to help anybody, a person, and again, like I said earlier, animals. I am very passionate about animals as well.
You're very big on animal charities as well. Let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, so I was very involved. I haven't found too many places here locally, but I was very involved with my Humane Society in my local town. And I just yesterday got back from traveling back to my hometown, and I was able to go to the Humane Society and visit with some of the animals because they have a hard time, and there's so many animals, and not a lot of people are like taking them or fostering them. So my mom fosters dogs when she's able to, and going in and helping feed and donating food and donating all the things that these animal shelters need. I have a cat, and I find it so important, obviously, to adopt. My cat is my pride and joy, and his backstory is really sad. He was in and out of foster homes, and the day that I went to just look at cats, he came up to me and he rubbed on me, and that was the day he got into the shelter. And I said, "That's mine." And now he's the most spoiled cat ever. But it's my mom has a dog, and her dog was found in a cornfield, and now again he's spoiled as anything. Because these just like people, they go through a lot of traumatic past, and animals don't have a lot of control over their lives. And I find and it's so hard to hear how people treat animals poorly, because again, they they don't know why people are treating them like this. And so yeah.
But you're giving them a home and a
Yes.
shelter and a place to
Hmm.
live and food and everything. So you're
Hmm.
trying to make them feel uh, better about their
Hmm.
situation. So kudos
Yeah.
to you for being able to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If I could take all the cat, I'm a big cat person. If I could take all the cats in the world, I would, but I can't.
Well, Emily, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? And if there's anything you want to plug, feel free.
So you can follow me on Instagram, X, and Facebook at I'm Emily Locke. But I also have a YouTube channel where every 2 weeks, every other Tuesday, which since when we're recording this is tomorrow, I post vlogs with myself and Exodus. And my YouTube is Emily Locke Pro. And I also sometimes will post matches on there and everything. Oh, you can also follow me on TikTok. But yeah, I'm trying to get, like, social media is a big thing right now in wrestling. So we try to like get on there and everything. But our vlogs are one of my favorite things to do. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, I would very much appreciate it.
What's your favorite vlog that you've been able to film so far?
All of my England vlogs. So we started the vlog for England. So we started it like a couple weeks prior to going to England. Obviously to kind of get like used to filming and doing all the things. But watching back my England vlogs are my favorite, because it's like you get to see all the things you got to do and all the places you were, and like yeah, so that one. And then I think the one like two, there was one that we filmed, and I was like editing it, I was like, this is funny. Like, so a lot of them are just like, I'm like, wow, we're like you don't realize some of the things that like you're filming, or and then you watch it back and you're like, oh, that was really funny, or you didn't realize something was happening in the background of your film. But yeah, so I kind of like it as like a digital diary of my wrestling journey. Because you go so many places and you do so many things, and sometimes you don't remember all of it, but then having these vlogs, like 10 to 15 minute little vlogs every 2 weeks, just to like remember all the things you've done, it really puts in perspective what you've been able to do, what I've been able to do, my group has been able to do, and it makes me feel very appreciative for wrestling. So
Yeah, it's exciting. Good way to spread awareness and let people know a little bit more about you and what's been happening and all the cool
Mhm.
things that are coming up. So it's
Yeah, and
amazing.
the grind on the indies, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Emily, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
I appreciate it, and I'd love to come back. This was very fun.
Yes, we'll make it happen. We'll do a
I
part
love
two.
it. Sounds great.
All right, take care.
You too.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.